Hey, what's up, everyone? You're currently tuned into TBD on KCSB FM 91.9 in Santa Barbara and netnetradio.com out of Tijuana. Today, Light Talk and I welcome colorful keyboard cooker Jimmy Lacy from SiP. How you doing, Jimmy?
I'm doing good. Colorful keyboard cooker.
We always have to come up with something, some weird little intro, yeah.
We don't know what you're kind of stewing on today.
Yeah. So Jimmy, what have you been up to like the last year? Like, what's going on, dude? Like, what have you been up to?
This, that, and the other thing. Music wise, the last album came out. Two Aprils ago. Mm-hmm. Now April 2020. And was set to travel and play some shows.
Yeah.
Was gonna go to California, where the label that put out the album was.
Yes, not fun.
Not fun. Yeah. I was excited to go to California to play some shows, and
that would have been sick.
Had a show in couple shows in Chicago, mm-hmm. booked. One to open for Damo Suzuki of Can fame.
Oh wow. That would have been sick.
Yeah. It was so exciting. Things were moving along, and then of course the pandemic happened, and all that stuff had to get pulled. And I moved into so after that I ended up moving into a new rehearsal space. Before I had been practicing and writing from home, and that worked for me for years and years.
Yeah.
But it stopped working for me. I couldn't get anything done at home.
Really?
I just couldn't focus. Couldn't set aside the time when I could set aside the time. Yeah. Had such a hard time focusing. So rehearsal space was able to connect with a rehearsal space with some friends. So I've been there now for over a year, and that's been fantastic.
Yeah, that's sick.
Been super productive there. Working on working on two new records, and releasing odd tracks. Here and there as well. Also, what I've been up to, I have a 7-month-old baby girl named
congrats.
Named Una. Thank you. So that's been a big event, big addition to the family in the past year. So
how's it been?
All
being
things considered, all good.
That's sick, man. How's it been being a dad?
It's been great. Yeah, she's a lot of fun. Just just every day seeing her change and grow and learn new things. And yeah, she's a trip.
That's so cool, dude. That must be amazing, man.
Yeah. Totally.
So have you picked up any other hobbies or anything besides music and I guess like parenting? I feel like both of those probably take up a lot of time, but if you have anything else that you've been up to, like
as far as I guess everyone has like their pandemic hobbies and skills and things. My probably the main one, and it is related to music. I learned how to play melodica.
Oh, really?
That was sort of I think that's kind of my one and only pandemic skill that I really like focused on, and
that's so sick.
Picked up on.
So what exactly is the melodica again? Like, which one is that? That's like
the melodica is the key. It's an instrument that you it's not a reed instrument, but it's a horn type instrument with a keyboard.
Is that the one with the little hose that you like blow into like the hose or whatever, and you like
you can blow into a hose or play it sort of more like a flute
like a tradition,
or something. Yeah.
Dude,
yeah,
that's so sick.
It's an instrument that a good friend of mine, Pete Pisano, plays. Pete Pisano and I play music together, and actually just released a new album together.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Yeah.
With just coming out the end of this month, and Pete turned me on to. I knew about the instrument, and there's some
exactly
great musicians and artists that I really love that played it, but in some of our collaborations and sessions, he would play it, and it really became more accessible and something I thought I could pick up. So really focused on that in the past year. So so now I'm like regularly writing and recording with that instrument right now.
Dude, that's so cool. I love that. I've always wanted to I've always seen like people playing melodicas and stuff. And I'm like, what a simple like instrument. And it's also like so beautiful. Like I've seen like some, I don't know, I was really into like Neutral Milk Hotel when I was in high school, and I saw this one video on like YouTube where some people were just covering like Neutral Milk Hotel songs like with a melodica, and I was like, dude, this is the sickest thing. And for some reason, whenever somebody says melodica, I'm just like, oh, dude, those kids playing Neutral Milk Hotel covers, like.
One of my favorite reggae artists, Augustus Pablo. He's like the probably the most famous melodica player in reggae from like the 70s until the I think 90s or so.
Dude,
and
that is so cool.
Even like a lot of like New Order have a lot of their hits oddly have sneaky melodica parts.
Do they really? That is so wild. I would have never thought that reggae or New Order would have melodica. Like that's so sick.
But so that's been something of the past year, and I don't know other things I picked up. I don't know. I'm probably reading more. Especially with the baby, you wake up at odd hours. To give the baby a bottle or check in or whatever, and then it can be hard to fall asleep afterwards because you're up and a little bit charged. So reading at all kinds of odd hours. That's everything.
That's cool. Do you have any books in like particular that like have really stuck out?
I'm reading Another Country right now by James Baldwin, which somehow that book passed me by over the years. Have never read it. Very, very intense read so far. That's sucking me in.
I just realized that that's also hanging out on one of my tables just beside me. I found this at a swap meet.
Oh wow!
Hardback cover of it.
Yeah.
For $1, very cheap.
Nice.
That's sick. Yeah, I've I guess like in terms of just like different things that you pick up that you feel like you would just have never gotten into otherwise. But I guess like during pandemic, I realized that I'm interested in like archaeology and stuff. So I've been like reading a lot about just like local native cultures and stuff like that, which is pretty cool.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, it's a good time. Let me see. I think I have a book right here.
Welcome to TBD Book Club.
This one is called December's Child, and it's like basically a compilation that this like anthropologist put together in like the 70s of like all the known oral narratives by the Chumash, which is like the local like native culture.
Whoa, interesting.
Here. Yeah, it's really interesting. And like Thomas Blackburn is like still alive and sick. Yeah, I checked this out from the library in like April, and I just haven't returned it. So I'm probably gonna have like a fat like debt that I owe on this book. But anyways, yeah. I hope the librarian isn't hearing this. They're gonna come to my house and take that book back.
Yeah, my friend got way into. I know you're talking about archaeology. My friend got way into like paleontology to the point where like over the years, like if he has a little extra money, he will treat himself to buying. I guess he can get them on eBay or something, but he buys different like bones of like the ancient giant sloth. So really? he has like several several like small like knuckle fragments and, and pieces of a giant
dude. So I have like
giant sloth. So every once in a while he just buys like a little giant sloth bone.
That's sick. I actually have like a really interesting story that can like relate to that. Like one of like the researchers that I work with, Andrew Kinkill, I'll shout him out because I know he listens to these every now and then. But so he like studies the Maya, also local stuff, but like he mostly focuses on like the Maya. And he was like, he went to go study like these cenotes in like this one area in Belize, and like the cenotes are like the big like limestone like pools in the ground.
Right.
Yeah. And, you know, some of them are like pretty sacred to the Maya, where they would have like water temples there and stuff. And so anyways, he wanted to like incorporate his love for scuba diving and like go into these cenotes and just like see, you know, do like underwater archaeology. And they were just like down there. He actually had like a National Geographic team like working with him. They were like, hey, we want to like write about this like project you're doing. Like we're gonna send divers. And anyways, they were down inside one of the cenotes looking for Mayan artifacts, and they found a giant sloth skeleton. Isn't that crazy?
Amazing.
Yeah. And they're just like, what is this? Like, this is a massive bone. And like they're just looking at it and stuff, and like, dude, that's a giant sloth skeleton that's down there. Isn't that crazy?
I'm actually familiar with that National Geographic piece. I used to work as a fact checker and copy editor in publishing, and National Geographic, like their like textbook wing, was one of my clients for a while. So I went through that. I went through that story somewhat in depth for.
Dude, that is so crazy. For work. I'm gonna have to tell Andrew. That is so crazy. Yeah. Andrew's gonna be like, dude, what is Small World like?
Yeah, Andrew's an interesting guy. Dude, that's really neat. I cannot imagine being in one of those cenotes. This must be a special, amazing place.
Oh my God. Yeah, totally. I mean, I wish I could talk more about like what they meant and stuff, but I haven't studied those enough. But yeah, dude, it seems crazy. Yeah. I know that he was like saying that like there is this one that like it wasn't just like straight down. It went straight down and then curved inward like this. And so they were trying to go like as far as possible to see like what it was, but it was so dark, like it just wasn't possible, you know, which is like insane to think about. It's like, wow, dude, that's crazy. Anyways, dude, yeah, before we keep going on tangents and stuff,
right.
I guess, Maddie, do you want to take us into like the first, I guess, like topic we have like written down?
I guess so. So really, I guess before we like to kind of hop into the nuts and bolts of, hey, you know, your current releases, what's going on? We love getting to know here, kind of just a light on some of the formative music moments or inspiration, what led to SiP. From what we know, at least what you have put on the Bandcamp page, it's a very personal project, but we do want to know, like, were you involved in different scenes kind of growing up? We know that you're currently Chicago based, but you've been in Florida. So kind of just starting there, like, how do you get to start doing synthesizer music?
Yeah, I had been in different bands since I was in high school, you know, punk and DIY bands.
Nice.
And, you know, as time went on, you know, we would record, we would put out records, you know, we would tour. So, you know, many bands and of that nature over the years.
So was this all in like Florida while this was going down and stuff, when you were playing in like punk bands and whatnot?
Yeah, a lot in Florida, and then made the move to Chicago, and in Florida, the last bands I was in, I was drumming. I was a drummer.
Nice.
And moving to Chicago, you know, I was living in apartments. I was not plugged into the music community here. You know, just getting to know the city, and apartment life was just, you know, not conducive to drumming, and being a drummer was not conducive to, you know, writing songs or being creative in that way that I wanted to be. In my bands in Florida, you know, I was member of member of many different bands, but never really the songwriting force as or as a drummer. And so I forget, a roommate or a friend lent me a small Casio keyboard, and just started off playing that, and it had a built-in drum machine.
Oh, that's sick.
And would just kind of push that keyboard up to my computer's built-in microphone, and I don't know if it was GarageBand. I don't know what I was recording into then, but recording into my computer, and slowly but surely learning the keyboard, and yeah, I've been in it. Then over the got comfortable with it, and then over the years, settling into Chicago, and finally getting to know people, starting bands, and in Chicago as a keyboard player, and writing songs, and then
that's sick.
And then similarly, recording and putting out records, and touring, and what led to SiP was the last band I was in.
Systems.
Was that
what's that, Maddie?
Onyx Systems.
Oh, that was one of them. Yeah. So so the bands I was in Chicago, I was in a band called Black Math, which kind of had a new wave post-punk type feel. And we put out records on the Permanent Records label, which is a
nice. Yeah.
record store and label here in town. And then Onyx System was another group, a trio, and then Onyx System was a trio for a while, and then a duo. And then I was in a more of a post-punk oriented group called Population. And
nice.
Population was probably the hardest working band of the three. We played a ton of shows. We recorded and put out records, and did some longer did some longer tours, and in the end, SiP was kind of a reaction to all the years of being in bands. Population's last tour was a rough one. Type of tour that started off with. I know it started off. I was sick when the tour started. Maybe some other members were sick. This is a number of years ago, so I certainly remember I started the tour off sick. We're passing sickness around the van. Yeah. Over the course of this 2 week plus, I don't know how many dates were on that tour. Yeah. We had a lot of great shows. We had a number of shitty shows. We stayed at a lot of great places. We also stayed at some absolute shitholes, or one place we stayed at, I remember it was not a shithole, but we get to the guy's house, clean, nice house. Yeah. And he opens up the door to the room that we're going to be staying, and it's just an empty, furnitureless room. Yeah. With wooden floors, and that's rough. And I think maybe I had a blanket, and I remember that one in particular. Or I remember one bed at this punk house. That was the bed that I was gonna sleep in. Yeah. Literally had a hole gouged out in the middle of the mattress, a hole the size of a manhole cover, gouged out of the middle of the mattress. So I just layered all these blankets on top of the hole. So anyway, that it was a rough tour, and it's so funny. Everyone was stressed out, and we completed all the dates, but we broke up when we got back. Yeah. Wow, that sounds rough, dude. it was a rough one. There were some big fights, and just everyone was pulled real thin.
Yeah.
People not feeling well, all the rest. And so when we got back and the band broke up, it had never been for me that long a period between bands. I knew I wanted to do something.
Yeah.
And slowly I started putting together like what how SiP would operate. And SiP was going to operate in kind of in response to having been in bands. I wanted to do something that I enjoy collaborating, but I wanted to do something that the music would probably more or less like rely on me. If I wanted to bring in other players, I could bring in other players, but the songs would be the songs.
Yeah.
I could play them on my own solo. I could bring in a guitar player. I could bring in a horn player. I could bring in a drummer. But I could be self-sufficient. Part of it was being in bands, like just, I wouldn't have to do those, late night, like Wednesday evening, like practices, not 9:30 p.m. across, traveling across town.
Yeah.
I was just kind of all these things, like, if I was doing it on my own, like how would I write the rules if it was just me on my own? Like, for another thing for SiP is I fucking sit down when I play shows. Like I sit.
This is sitting music.
Hell yeah.
To be fair.
I've got my keyboard and drum box set up on stands around me, and I sit on a stool or a chair.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I can do that. Like, playing in a band, I'd look like a weirdo sitting down playing the keyboard with everyone else standing up with their guitars or whatever. But like, I can have this set up.
SiP was kind of just like a result of being like, okay, I've done this band thing long enough. Like, I kind of want to, like you said, just chill, like sit, like do whatever I want this to be all my own accord type deal. Like,
yeah, it was mostly, I just wanted to sit down.
Yeah, exactly. You're like, no more bands. I'm trying to sit in specific.
And then also, again, because a lot of this music, it's synthesizer based. So were you working with synthesizers in your other bands at the time, or was this like, hey, I'm just doing a synthesizer music now?
Yeah. So for the Chicago bands I was mentioning, I played synthesizer in all of those bands.
Okay.
But the kind of the trick, or what unlocked my songwriting approach with SiP, was learning how to use a sequencer.
Okay.
I was messing around with just being maybe just solo keyboard with like a drum box or whatever.
Yeah.
But I found I found I couldn't get the layers and the rhythms and the melodies that I wanted, that richness, just on my own.
Uh-huh.
So then I was kind of experimenting with, like, with drones and some of those types of elements. Still not getting what I was going for. Messing around with looping, which wasn't quite as, looping has its own quality to it. The more kind of I looked into it, is, sequencing was going to be what would kind of get all the elements going that I want. So with my keyboard, I can play and program in a bass line and a rhythm keyboard line,
mm-hmm.
and maybe some other elements, and then I can play my leads over that, and I can have multiple parts. I can do verses and bridges and have the music flow and move through sequences. But the you guys have listened. I don't. The music doesn't come off as sequencers or my connotation with them was always more electronic music, which is what I do in a way. But I felt the way I was putting the elements together, it was it had a folksier feel than a lot of my associations with electronic music.
Maddie, do you want to take us into the next topic?
I'll get us going on that front. So you've mentioned again that with SiP, you were originally just like, okay, these are songs that I can do solo. And your first release over here live on Planet Catio, Lumpin' Radio 105.5 FM is a really good kind of demonstration of that. I heard that along with Leo's Natural is kind of back to back last year.
Yeah.
And both of them share that lineage because several tracks that are on the Live on Planet Catio tape, they do appear on Leo's Naturalist, and they're much more expanded. What you were talking about with just synthesizer drum machine or kind of drum loops there, that was the base of that sound. And then Leo's is much more fuller, but I guess I'm just curious about like, what was that kind of period between where you were writing those original tracks and then you wanted to flesh them out for Not Fun? How were you going about that?
Yeah. It was a fun process getting from the KDO tape to Leo's Naturals. So to back up before that,
sweet.
Before that KDO tape, I had this month-long residency at this cocktail lounge in the city called the Whistler, and it would be every Friday from 5 until 8 p.m. I had 3 hours to play and to fill.
That's dope.
And it was such a fun challenge, or my challenge for myself, which was a lot of fun, was I wanted to bring new material every week.
Mm-hmm.
And from that month residency, I ended up generating a lot of ideas that turned into my set, and that ended up going on the Leo's Naturals album. And I'd bring some some riffs or some motifs to those shows and stretch them out. 3 hours was a lot of time.
It's a 36-minute tape, if I recall.
A lot of time to experiment. And so those songs all started off quite long, and then the more I played them and playing them at different shows and things, they did boil down, and I was able to become more intentional with the with the playing and being able to pick what parts I liked and seemed to work out. So the black cassette that you had shown, Maddie, so that's SiP live on Planet KDO. KDO is Katie Olson. She's a great Chicago DJ.
That's sick.
DJs all over the city and DJs for Lumpin' Radio 105.5
nice.
FM. And she invited me on her show, so that tape kind of captures that very specific point of time about like where those songs were.
Yeah.
And so those songs I think are probably all 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, maybe 10 minutes a piece.
They go.
They kind of just cruise along and some they're definitely tracks to settle into, and which I loved about the way they turned out. Then but that was just that moment in time, and I really didn't have anything in mind. The session, I was really happy with how it turned out. and probably a few months later, I was playing a show, and a woman who runs a great label in the city called iVibe Records, Krissa Talanian. I think that's how you pronounce her last name. We were playing a show at this place called Cole's Bar, and she had heard some of my music. I forget what I was sharing online at the time, or maybe I guess she had seen me play a time or two.
Yeah.
And said if I ever wanted to put out anything to let her know. And I the only thing I had at the time was this radio session, which I was proud of. I'm like, well, all of a sudden I have this opportunity to put out this radio session. So she put out that tape on iVibe, on her label iVibe Records. She also does great, she has great connections in Japan. She puts out a lot of great Japanese music, including, I don't know if you guys have heard, Acid Mother's Temple, who are just,
did she do the reissue tape recently?
She did, yeah.
I need to pick that up. I saw that on Bandcamp Friday and really wanted to get it.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, she's awesome. Her label's awesome. And had this opportunity to put something out. So cleaned up those tracks from the radio session. And, all of a sudden I, kind of stumbled into having a tape, a calling card for other things. Yeah. Which was super helpful. And, then by the time I had gotten a collection of songs together that I was, ready to put together as an
like an album.
Started reaching out to, some different underground labels, around the country. And that was kind of the calling card that hooked me up with Not Fun in
West Coast stalwart
in California. Yeah, great underground label. I think they've been around about 15 years now.
Oh wow, I didn't know they were.
And so several of the songs on the Planet KDO tape, are now sort of more essentialized, boiled down, like deliberate and intentional. Yeah. And so when I went to record those, they're yet, shorter. They are shorter. They're more concise, and a different version, very different version.
There's more performers on them.
Yeah.
As well.
Yep. Yeah. Have clarinet by local performer Eric Jewell, Pete Brazano, who I was mentioning earlier.
Yeah.
Playing Melodica throughout. Sick. So yeah, they both brought a lot to the table, and really gave the songs different energy and different life. And I just felt their tones blended in with some of the sort of warmer synth tones that I was working with. And so the Leo's Naturals tape was a cool kind of final endpoint for for those songs that had started off as these big expansive pieces.
That's sick.
And I guess because I listened to a bit of Leo's Naturalist back in June of 2020 a lot. I was listening to that and biking at the time. It was a really great biking album, and trying to come up with comparison points. Thomas and I came down to, I think, 3, which included just kind of essentially fourth world music, some of Paulo Mergia's stuff, and then Chicago legends, the Bitch and Baja's.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Which, though, like little kind of frazzled bits we see in this music. And I guess really with Wondering, it's, you've mentioned it's like you've kind of added the melodica to your sound. Currently, what is like the SiP family tree of music, so to speak? Would you say there's kind of like a fourth world music element to what you've been doing? I definitely, that's like John Hassel.
Yeah. Right. He's he kind of coined that term. I definitely like John Hassel. But I don't know if that's where I come from as much. I think I get a lot of inspiration from a lot of the German experimental musicians from like the 70s, like the group Cluster with Rodelius and I think Mobius were the members, and
also collaborators.
collaborators. They always stood out for their use of electronics, but having that warmth and I don't know, the word organic always comes to mind. It's I don't know what organic means in that context. It's all electronics and circuits and everything, but maybe instead of that, I mean, I felt like Cluster always had like a folksier feel to their electronics.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's something I keep on coming back to with SiP, that there's that there's almost like a folk music quality to it. Very like very handcrafted, very 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 personal, that type of feel. Maman Sani, really great keyboard player. I'm not sure what type of keyboards he played, but he was and continues to be an influence. I absolutely love his playing.
That's awesome.
More recently, in the past probably like year and a half, 2 years, Frankie Reyes, fantastic keyboard player.
Nice.
And then also in particular, a couple of Sun Ra records.
Oh hell yeah!
Where he was where he was using keyboards and electronics.
Any record in particular?
Under the Purple, is it Under the Purple Moon? I think it's Under the Purple Moon.
Yeah.
One of them I keep on going back to. Atlantis is another one.
Nice.
From Sun Ra. Mm-hmm. And then actually Languidity is also an absolute favorite of mine from Sun Ra. I don't know if Languidity is an example of him using electronics, but those three have always been SiP touchstones as well, for sure. So yeah, just off the top of my head, those I've always felt a camaraderie with those sounds.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That you talking though about this music, especially taking it as folk, is something maybe I would never have considered. But also, again, these are extremely warm albums. Like, also just in terms of what you do with the drumming, getting it out of, I think, like just a straight motorik rhythm and into something that, feels more like a step or kind of something that you could move to. Mm-hmm. That, I don't know, I can see why it would be called folksy, and I really appreciate that. That's lovely.
Yeah. I appreciate that, and I appreciate you mentioning the drumming, because that's that's an element that I always have a good time putting together, and I can kind of get with the setup I have interesting effect where I have a drum box with drum pads on it.
Sweet.
And I can run that into the sequencer.
That's sick.
And so I can play the drums. I can do different drum rolls and patterns. And then through the sequencer, it sort of, locks those drum rolls and things onto the MIDI grid. So you kind of get what you're playing spit back at you through the sequence recording. But there are interesting manipulations that the sequencer has to do to put your live playing onto the MIDI grid. So that's that was sort of just a fun, a fun happy accident of learning how to use this drum pad with the sequencer. And I kind of stumbled across like some, I don't know, I think some like drumming idiosyncrasies that I kind of continue to stand by. Like I don't really like, at least for SiP, I don't really like snare drums. Like if you listen to any SiP, there are 0 snare drums.
Yeah.
It's like, it's like all toms and bass drum. I kind of like drum beats that are in a way just like a lot of the SiP drumming is just sort of like constant kind of drum rolls. Like the drums are always kind of skipping over each other or tumbling or rolling. And that's kind of a effect that I continue to go for as I write. Cause I really like kind of how I stumbled into that type of drum programming and getting that kind of effect.
That's sick. So you currently have an upcoming collaborative album tape on Moonglyph, like you were saying, with your friend Pisano. I forget his first name.
Pete.
Yeah, Pete Pisano.
Yeah.
Maddie and I are super big fans of the single on the Bandcamp page, Pygmalion. Can you tell us about the live shows and like what kinds of directions you're going with like this? I guess you kind of already touched on that, but
yeah, it was Pete and I, we many years ago now, we played a show together.
Yeah.
And hit it off and got along well. And we ended up getting together to play and and enjoyed it. Pete's really talented with modular synthesizers.
That's sick.
And I can't spit the brand names or nothing at you guys, but
it's all right. I wouldn't be able to do it either. So,
but he's got this cool component system where it's a rack that's kind of this big with a built-in keyboard, and he can slide in all these different modules and then obviously patch them together as he likes. And
that's crazy.
So we kind of eventually stumbled upon this writing dynamic where he would sort of build these rhythmic sequenced beds built off of the modular, and so he come up with these great propulsive pieces, and then we would rehearse together, and I'd come up with embellishments or leads or drones or little riffs, and we would do little demo recordings, and based on how the session went and maybe elements that I brought, he would tweak and take some twists and turns, with him back home and bring it back to our next session. And like I was saying before, he also he played the melodica, so he was bringing the melodica into the fold, which
That's
I
sick.
Absolutely fell in love with.
Yeah.
And we started playing some shows around town and recorded, and it's I'm just so happy with how it turned out. I think it's so cool how with just sort of the concept of our collaboration, we decided to call it SiP Presano because I felt the way that I was playing, I was bringing elements of the SiP sound to these sequences.
Yeah. It wasn't just SiP anymore. It was like more than like you're
right,
incorporating.
yeah. Or it wasn't Jimmy Lacy and Presano.
Yeah.
You know, it was. I felt it was. I felt it. This was, and it was nice. Kind of made me realize like SiP maybe does have some type of like essence or recognizable. Recognizable sound.
Yeah.
And then also what we were talking about earlier with those German artists, like the Cluster Eno collaboration.
Yeah.
You know, that always stood out as kind of a signpost for, you know, this group and this individual keeping their names and releasing a collection of songs that way. And I really feel the recording just brings our two personalities or musical personalities together. I think I just have such a good time even now listening or when we play together, hearing how we, complement each other or hearing like the friction that's created at times as well, which I think the album's a pretty melodic album. I think for the most part, the fun is in the, harmony. But also the frictions that are created at times as well. And so we put those songs together. We played a number of fun shows around town and in some cool different spots. And kind of just, slow and steady worked on the recording, never felt too rushed. And then Steve from the Moonglyph label, we had kind of become pen pals. He's buds with Britt from the Not Fun label.
Oh, okay, sick.
Me and Steve from Moonglyph had kind of been in touch and kept in touch. Yeah. And asking if there's anything, he'd love to put something out. It's like, oh, we've been working on this for a while. We've got some few finishing touches, and super grateful that Moonglyph was interested in putting out, because we're super proud of it.
Yeah, that's awesome. So are you guys planning on like touring soon?
I think our first inclination would be to write some more.
I see.
As a duo. As far as performing, I think we're looking at the winter. I know I'm looking at the winter as a time to write and record. And I'm real excited about two album ideas I've been working on for a bit, and really just want to like push on those, and touring and performing, it's its own separate energy and preparation, and being in the songwriting mode, or being in the show preparation rehearsal mode are such different
completely
places.
Different things. Yeah.
But it's like something's got to give between the two. So
So I guess like when you tour, once you're done like writing and all that, what would be your ideal type of show? Venue, space, lighting, etc. Like, I don't know, everything. Like what would be like your ideal?
This is it. It's the perfect SiP show. What's it gonna be? What does it bring to it?
This is going to be like your final show on tour, like you saved it for last, you're hitting California, possibly Santa Barbara. I'm just kidding.
Definitely Santa Barbara.
Yeah. Right.
Well, yeah, I feel like SiP from my experience, like I've played, I played all kinds of different venues, from from like the cocktail lounges to the rock clubs to art galleries and and one large hall in Chicago. And there's something great about playing at a cocktail lounge that I just absolutely
dude, that's so cool.
love. Like I don't know, there's something like SiP is instrumental music. I just love the atmosphere of kind of being the interstitial music to people having their conversations, and I like being half paid attention to. I think is what I'm saying.
That's so cool, dude. I love how you like.
I like creating like just the pleasant atmosphere.
Yeah.
And the music is definitely partially inspired by that type of atmosphere. But then the other side, like it is just a trip and a lot of fun to hear the music through a big sound system. Like SiP is oddly built with like a lot of low ends. Like the bass lines is like a very low bass. Mm-hmm. So there's this one concert hall in Chicago called Talia Hall that I played, and I feel if I played in larger venues with big sound systems more, it would probably change my songwriting style.
Oh yeah,
because it comes across so differently in those atmospheres, and it's so cool.
Great.
So that doesn't really answer what the ideal would be. I think I'd like to play. I think it'd be great to play like a seated venue, like a small theater or something.
That'd be sick, dude. I
think that would be well suited to SiP's music.
Is there any special kind of lighting show or anything that's happening?
Yeah, what's the lights going to be like? I feel like I could see it being like super dim. It's just like you, like in your keyboard and stuff. There's like a bunch of people with like, Negronis and whatnot, just like chilling there. They got their bow ties on, like.
One time I was playing a show at the Chicago rock club called Empty Bottle.
Oh, nice.
I've been there. Great venue. Yeah, I saw Facts. I saw Luggage there. Awesome.
Sweet. Just classic Chicago rock club. And and they have lighting, and they ask you before your set what type of lighting.
Oh, do they ask?
Like.
That's sick.
And my wife will still make fun of me for this. Like one time I asked for like yellow and green, and my wife just thought it was like the most disgusting lighting combination.
That's so funny
that she's ever seen. She thought it was like very pukey or something.
Yeah.
Oh no. It's funny. Sam Prekop opened for Luggage, and he just went out there with the modular synth, and it was just, he didn't look at the audience at all, and it was just a yellow light. And it's just him for 30 minutes just playing with the synth, and then he went outside and smoked some American spirits. Just perfect.
That's so funny.
Awesome.
Absolute master.
Yeah. No, he's great. He's one of my he's one of my absolute favorites.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I could also go ahead, Manny.
I guess I was going to take the next question, but if you want to, go for it.
No, you can take it. I was just going to add something stupid. Do you remember that club, the Mercury Lounge in Goleta? Like, I for some reason just could see you playing
Mercury Lounge.
It was like this like bar. I don't know if it was a cocktail bar or not, but like their vibe was just like 70s, like style 70s, where it's like they have like that weird like orange color and like green color furniture and like all that stuff, and like the lights with like the glass shade and stuff. Like, yeah, it was sick. I could see playing every tight. Anyways, go ahead, Maddie.
So you brought up that, you've got a couple of ideas for albums on the table here. And this is, of course, of interest to us because, as we noted, going back through the SiP catalog, this is all pre-COVID music. In fact, maybe outside of the Dialectic book track that you put up in September.
Oh yeah.
Again, this all had been done at least kind of pre-COVID. So
that's right. Yeah.
Where is SiP currently kind of like musically developing? Are you working with acoustic guitars and kind of the kalimba instrumentation now on these new albums?
Yeah. Yeah. So that track you reference, that's been my one track I've released that was written during the pandemic at my new rehearsal space.
Oh yeah.
Sweet.
And yeah, that track has piano, some acoustic guitar, kalimba, and that sort of mix of instruments is definitely featured heavily on a number of songs that I'm currently working on. I'm kind of on mentally right now. I'm kind of on 2 tracks and thinking along the lines of two albums. One would be SiP's, what I would consider like more like acoustic album, which would be
nice.
Which would be
SiP Unplugged.
Well, SiP kind of SiP Unplugged, but definitely. So this rehearsal space is great. There's like, I think there's like 5 piano. The space is huge. There's 5 pianos there.
Oh wow, that's crazy. Actually, I
think two are in tune, like serviceably in tune. So been having a lot of fun. Been having a lot of fun with that. And having piano lead a lot of songs, but acoustic album in the sense that, like, you know, I'm using a lot of piano, melodica, kalimba, you know, more acoustic instruments, but still using my drum box setup that I like. You know, still using the synthesizer to, you know, for different effects and different textures. But yeah, a lot of acoustic instrumentation, some acoustic guitar.
Nice. As
well. I'm a terrible guitar player, but I can definitely play guitar when if I got a little part for a song, I can definitely play guitar for
if needed.
A little part here or there.
Whip out the skills if needed.
Yeah. And then sort of the other album track, album 2 or whatever, is kind of what I'm conceiving as the Leo's Naturals like sequel. Like,
oh, nice.
Very much like, and I kind of have it in my head of, like, you know, it's going to be the sequel to Leo's Naturals. It's going to be like it's going to be like my Rocky 2 to Rocky.
Oh,
like,
nice.
Yeah, I think I'm going to call it. So this first one's Leo's Naturals, and the sequel is going to be called Leo's Ultras.
That's honestly such a good name, dude.
And
it's
I think
level up.
Literally, though.
Yeah, and I don't think it's going to turn out this way, but like my thinking is like Leo's Ultras is just going to be like bigger and brighter and dumber. Like,
yes,
hell yeah. That's such a good name for it. Leo's Naturals, then Leo's Ultras. That's so good.
Hopefully not dumber, but for some reason that keeps sticking out of my head. It's gonna be bigger and dumber than ever.
I guess I like that logic. There's a wing. I'm a big shoegaze fan, and there's a wing of shoegaze that I really love that I just call himbo gaze, because it's just music that I'm like, well, this is like, sonically this is the best stuff, but lyrically these guys can't write for crap. But also, like, it doesn't matter about the lyrics because the sound, it's just so over flooded with joy. It's gonna fill the room.
God bless those himbos.
We're just gonna be laying down just saying, this is really lovely music. Crap.
Exactly. Yeah. So those are kind of the two tracks that I'm working on. And I know for a while I was thinking I would work on one track and finish it, and then work on the other track and finish it.
Nice.
But it just didn't work out that way. It'd be fun to be in the acoustic space, but then I'd start getting the itch to work on, you know, more strictly electronic material. And I'd be fighting with myself, like, no, you got to finish the acoustic stuff, and then you can move on to electric. And I lost that argument with myself, to where I'm now. I feel like I'm working on two two albums concurrently instead of working on one and finishing it and working on the other and finishing it. So,
well, we can't wait to hear both. I feel like that's going to be sick, dude. Like,
thank you.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I'm excited and happy with how it's turning out so far.
SiP 2022, guys. Like, keep your eyes and ears peeled. I don't know. I don't know if it'll be out 2020, maybe 2023. I don't know. Whenever it's slated to come out, or whenever you finish it, that'll be sick.
Exactly.
I don't know how long it takes to put out a record, but
you and me both. I don't know how long it takes.
Anyways, I mean, I guess that brings us to the end of like the questions we have. We have a couple, like, I guess, like listener question stuff. You down to take a couple just little fun ones? Cool. Yeah. So this one's just like what's been on repeat lately.
Oh, music wise. Music wise. I've been getting into Anna Meredith. I don't know if you've heard of her, but
I'm not sure if I have.
What I'm learning about her, she's a British composer and electronic musician.
Nice.
Incredibly inventive with her music videos. She does stuff seemingly like both for sort of like orchestra type groups and electronic groups. She's been awesome. Been listening to I've been listening to a lot of before and after his recent death, but been listening to Lee Perry for like quite a bit over the past several years. My baby really likes reggae music, and in general, we like listening to reggae together. So a lot of Lee Perry, a lot of Gladiators,
nice.
Jackie Mittoo, among others.
That's I've needed to dive into Lee Perry. I've been looking for a good just intro tape there.
Yeah, any of his early stuff with as the Upsetters is a cool place to start. I think.
Matty, you're gonna have to hop in.
He is prolific.
After a little bit of Harder They Come, I'm ready.
Yeah. And then also recently, more probably in the past like 2 weeks, there's this Chicago label called Trouble in Mind.
Oh yeah, we love Trouble in Mind.
Yeah. So their recent releases, two groups, Smoke Bellow and Dummy. I've been listening to. We
just had Dummy on the show, actually.
Oh, sweet. Yeah. Awesome. Yeah.
We're looking forward to that.
That's gonna be sick. Yeah. Dude, they're so good.
Yeah, they're great. Dummy and SiP are a little bit pen pals.
Oh, nice
as well. They seem like nice folks.
They've got a love of the new age.
Dude, Joe is also just like such a chiller. Like I love how he just like hypes up. Like he's just constantly hyping up like new people. It's so sick. Or like, I don't know, not necessarily new, but just like constantly hyping up sick stuff. Like such a chiller. Like the epitome of DIY. Like he's just cool.
Just seem like
they're just
sweet
cool people.
Yeah. Sweet, generous people.
Yeah.
And then also Omni Gardens. It's
oh hell yeah.
Oh my god.
So
if there was an artist I forgot to buy last year.
Yeah.
I've been kicking myself for not getting that tape.
that tape mosching is fantastic. I really love the spaces that the Omni Gardens take. So yeah, those are a few right now that I'm kind of deep diving.
Nice, dude. That's awesome. Love to hear that.
Had a good time with. Yeah. I listen to music all the time, and
that's what I'm saying.
I have a computer job, so I can just listen to so much music.
Yes.
Oh, me too, dude.
It's just what it's. I don't like working, but what I do like about working is I get to listen to music all day.
That's how it is with my job. Like I don't necessarily like working. I do GIS, which is like computer mapping. So I just sit in front of a computer and, digitize stuff. But, I just tell my friends, like, at least I can just listen to podcasts and listen to music. That's all I do all day. I'll like listen to a podcast for like an hour and a half, and then I'll throw on some SiP and I'll just jam to SiP for a couple hours or something. Like that's like what today was. Like right before I asked you, yeah, I was just jamming SiP. I was like, dude, this is gonna get me through the day. Like which is true, dude. It's just like so chill. Like it just like carries you through. You know, next thing you know, it's like an hour later, you're like, whoa, dude. Anyways. Yeah. That's cool though. And then also like I love how you're super into reggae too. I don't know too much reggae, but for a while I was really into like the Black Roots and like Alpha Bondi and stuff.
Yeah.
Like they're huge. They're like legends, but like they're so good.
Yeah.
Sick. Anyways, we have another question that we got on here, and it says, what are the origins of like the name SiP and tips on choosing a band name?
Oh, I haven't, I get asked this from time to time, but I haven't answered this question in a while. So the name SiP came from my then girlfriend, now wife. Like when she would greet people, instead of like saying like, what's up, she would go like SiP, SiP. And it was just this, and it just like stuck in my brain. And I had this like, you know, I'm starting this project, and I am the type of person, like I keep a list of like potential band names, potential song titles, potential album titles.
Yeah.
And SiP was on my list, and it was just like so simple and concise, and like SiP is just kind of like a sound, and like once it and believe me, after a while it becomes completely decontextualized from like any like meaning of the word SiP, and it just has a nice ring to it. But it started from my wife saying SiP, SiP when she's saying hi to someone. Just like this weird thing.
That's so sick, dude. I love that. So why is the I lowercase and the other two are capital?
I just thought that I just thought it looked. I just thought it looked cool.
That's awesome, dude.
And what was it? Tips?
Tips for choosing a band name, I guess, or an artist name or project name, whatever.
I think don't have it be too long.
Yeah.
I never like band names that's like a whole sentence or something.
Yeah. So you're not a fan of emo bands, I'm taking, because like I feel like literally every emo band has like a sentence long, like at least song name or album name.
Yeah. Keep it short. Keep it short and simple. Yeah. I think that's my advice. Keep it short and simple.
Nice. There you have it. So if you're choosing a band name, don't overthink it. Don't go too long. Just keep it short and sweet.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I guess before we wrap up here, how can people keep up with all things SiP?
All things SiP. So let's see. I think if you Google like SiP Leo's Naturals, like all kinds of stuff will pop up.
Yeah.
But yeah, Leo's Naturals is on Bandcamp. I think on Bandcamp, look up SiP Group, GROOP.
Nice.
Instagram is at SiP Group, SIPGROOP. And I think those are the two big ones, is Instagram and Bandcamp. And Bandcamp's got, I think, pretty much all the SiP music that we've talked about on this on this interview.
Wait.
I'll post it and streaming for you all.
There it is, at SiP Group. Check it out. Follow them on socials, or follow Jimmy on socials, and just hit the mic. And yeah, I think that's about it. But we have one more question here. It's kind of the biggest question. Should I take it, Maddie?
I got this one.
Okay,
I'm
yeah.
ready. I've got.
Do it, dude. Do it. It's a tough one. Okay, like we just got to warn you. Are you ready for it, Jimmy?
Okay. Let's hear it.
Okay, so it might be a little long. Let's just imagine here, SiP makes into the big league. You're playing Michelin 5-star restaurants. Problem though, the Michelin 5-star restaurant you're playing, it has a rat infestation that hasn't been informed to you. While you're just really digging out on a Chicago Dream Center, a rat kind of just jumps in your mouth. And it's just a rat. Is it going to jump in your mouth, head or butt? And why?
Like head first or butt first into your mouth?
You're asking me to. I mean, I am from Chicago, so I am very familiar with. I am very familiar with rats.
Yeah,
I've kicked a Chicago rat before. Are
they large?
They're critters.
I've never seen a Chicago rat, but I did see a video today of a New York rat pulling. You know that viral video of the New York rat pulling like the pizza down the stairs?
Oh yeah,
in
the pizza rat. Yeah,
yeah, classic, dude.
Rest in peace.
Poor guy.
So yeah, a rat's going to jump into your mouth, head or butt, or why? And why?
I don't. Oh, this is so gross.
I'm so sorry. We know it's gross. We don't mean to be like the most triggering with this image.
Pass. Hard pass. I have no idea.
You chose the side of the rat. The rat hits you from the side.
He deflects. He deflects it. It grazed him.
Yeah,
he's lucky.
Grazes my cheek.
He got away from the rat.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
my mouth
Jimmy
snapped
Lacy,
shut. I turned my head.
Jimmy Lacy, professional rat dodger.
Pretty much.
I'm snapping for that answer. People don't just dodge the rat outright, but you did it today.
That's sick, Jimmy. Hell yeah.
You guys are crazy.
We get that's dope. We get a different answer every show, and we've never gotten that one. That's sick, dude. Hell yeah. So I guess that's all we have for today, Jimmy. Thanks for tuning into TBD on KCSB FM 91.9 every Sunday 4 to 6 p.m. and NetNet Radio every Saturday 4 p.m. This is Jimmy Lacy from SiP. Thanks for being on the show, Jimmy.
Thank you guys. Thank you, Thomas. Thank you, Maddie. You guys are sweethearts.